Along with the bosses of the arcs, caves play a huge role in our journey to ascending through Helena's adventures before taking on the Genesis simulations, but to do so, I needed a creature able to take on underwater caves that could also help me with the Overseer, depending on how they performed, and I can tell you that after seeing it in action for a short time, I'm sure this will prove to be a worthwhile tame. As the dawn rose, we began as many of these days go, taking out Austin Powers for more metal from the volcano and getting back home to light the forge before checking up on my bears to see if we had any more mutations. Once the checks were all in order though, I prepared to head out and find myself a Deinosuchus, as I know, if not for the bosses, it would surely be a great tame to use for the sea caves, and I for one had never tamed one of these. I got together some ghillie so that I could not be seen and wasted no time flying out towards the swamp in search of these large crocs. Straight away I was shocked, seeing a huge pack of them gathered up on the water side, almost piling on top of each other. However, these all seemed to be quite weak and not what I was looking to tame, so onwards I headed to search for more. I attempted to take some of them on, dwindling the population of weak Deinosuchus. However, even those were a force to be reckoned with, and so that idea was quickly thrown out of the window. The longer this search went on, however, the more I was reminded about my previous Spino hunt, and I started to lose hope that I would ever find one. I finally decided to call it quits for now and come back later after going all around the swamps, heading back to base and checking up on the bear breeding, but after dealing with this, I spied a red drop, which ended up containing a Rex saddle, which once again does not help me, although probably would have been quicker at this rate. Looking at my materials though, I was seeing a lack of polymer, and so I flew over towards the snow to hunt some penguins for now, hoping to get as much as I could, and I showed no mercy to all but 2 of them, as I thought taming 2 could help me create a polyfarm. On my journey back, however, I spied a strong looking mammoth with a child, and as humanely as possible, I shot them down and then stole their child, really humanely, as a good wood gatherer, but a good wood gatherer would come in handy for any more building later down the line. On the way home, however, things would not go as swimmingly, as I tried to loot a yellow drop and an Allosaurus charged at me, and meaning to throw my barrier out, I also threw out one of the penguins I had just tamed, which sadly didn't make it out of this fight. Luckily, we were able to take it down, and this was honestly not worth it. So I headed back home with the polymer and my new tames, and with all these resources, I was able to craft my very first grinder, which turned out to be much more useful than I had thought, thanks to the metal structures and other bits I had saved for this. I checked on the bears again before finally heading back out on Flash in search of a dino and hoping we could take them on, but things didn't quite go to plan. Heading into the swamp, the second I entered the trees, a capro dove at me, pulling me off the back of my baryonyx as I shot it down before continuing the hunt. Not long after, I found 2 weak Deinosuchus, and this was going to be a test to if I could take them on, and after the first, I was feeling confident. However, whilst trying to fight the second, it tail whipped me into the air, sending me and Flash flying across the swamp, which gave me some time to think about my life choices here. I made my way back over though, presuming that was a one-time thing, and finished them off. However, After trying to take on another, the same thing happened again, and so I had to decide that this could only end bad for me. Heading back home and realizing I would have to continue on the back of my RG if I was going to find and tame one today. On the way back though, I did come across that cluster of them, and feeling brave, I decided to take them all on, and to my surprise, after taking a good amount of damage though, they were all dealt with. Finally, after getting back home, I flew out on my RG, and I was not coming home without a strong Deinosuchus. But as I flew into the swamp, once again a Capro decided to dive at me, which only ended with a cap in its tail. Searching further along though, I found a trophy frog and thought this may prove useful in the caves later on, so I picked it up and began knocking it out. However, before I did, it knocked me out first. Luckily, once I woke up, I found that it had also been knocked out, so I fed it up and soon enough, we had ourselves a frog. I took it back home having a little break and checking up on the bears before heading out one more time, searching low and high until finally I spotted them, the one I had been waiting for. And so, the taming process had begun, and as I approached slowly, the jaws clamped down as I fed it and I ran off in fear, jumping back on my RG and flying off. I repeated this process many times, until surprisingly, without any hiccups, they were tamed, and I had actually achieved my goal for today. However, to top that, I spotted a female frog to mate with the one I found earlier, and tame that up just as quick, and so I decided to hunt for another dino to mate with the male I just tamed. I spotted one that was facing off against Sarcos, so I fought with it to keep it alive, and although I did that whilst barely surviving myself, Paraceratheriums decided to come over and squash it like a bug. Eventually though, I managed to find another, luring it out of the swamps before throwing meat into its terrifying jaws. And just like that, I could begin the breeding with the dinos when I was ready. Arriving home though, I took out the dino for a little swim, and this thing was already a monster as we chewed through some of the megalodons. But before finishing off today, I bred up more of the bears, farmed more wood on my mammoth, and got the final colour for my bears, which I have to say, look pretty great as a simple polar bear, and so with that, I called it a night. If you'd like to see me record these videos live, then make sure to check out my streams right here most Wednesdays and Fridays, with some occasional weekend streams. These are weekly videos that will follow this story, and don't forget to hit that like button if you want to help this channel grow. I really do appreciate it, and finally, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the content here, and I will catch you all in the next one.